What's up, guys? We are on day 118 in a row. Can't believe I'm even saying that. And we've got Nick Rogers. I vetted him because you guys shit on me for not vetting people before. So he sent me this. I feel so bad. I have to ask for like, hey, can you send me all your stats? But he
It's all
sent me all
good.
his stats. Then I incorrectly had thought his last name was GRS, but now we're here. So Nick, kick it off. Who are you? Tell the
That
people.
happens a lot with my last name because my handle is like an abbreviation for it, and people think it's the well, I don't want to get you demonetized here on YouTube, but they think it's the N word. Um, so anyway, yeah, I guess I'll start with what I do now, and then maybe work back a little bit on the story just to give you full context. So what I do day to day right now is I have a theme page network on IG. We did 276 million views last month. We're already at 102, 105 so far this month. Mostly like business niche network. So that's number one. Second, I have a consulting company where we help people start their social media, specifically personal brands. And then the people that kind of graduate that, I kind of pick off and I take equity of them or I take rev share of them and I scale them up much bigger. So those are the three things I do today, and they all kind of work together because a lot of those people that we take on as basically our own brand or our own equity, we can pump through the pages. So we can take all that traffic and the network that is the pages, and we can push that traffic towards those brands, towards those people, and grow them in that manner. So it's all very, very cohesive and
Nick's
works
having some
together.
fun.
Now,
Are you
the way
back?
I got,
There we go. He's back.
oh
He's having
shit,
fun internet issues, so we're just gonna have fun in this one. You're good. You're good. So yeah, no. So where it left off for me, and I don't know, and apparently I'm also living this, which is hilarious. So, um,
really?
yeah. So okay. So explain to me the page portion of it first. I want to
Yeah.
like understand the front to back because I kind of understand what you're saying, how they all kind of connect together. But so just the page portion.
So when I started, I was trying drop shipping. I was trying the typical, you take a product from China, AliExpress. You're like, this might be good, and it never was for me. It was always pretty shitty. But I was spending all this money on Instagram pages to promote the products, and so I kept looking at this, and I'm 19 at the time, and I'm like, oh, smart. Why don't I just start my own pages? And so I started to dabble in that, and I started posting business news, and it just popped. It was kind of one of the first businessy theme pages. Like the motivation niche existed, but the business niche didn't really exist yet. So if you're familiar with pages like Wealth, I
Yeah.
knew Wealth when he had 10K followers. I saw him grow from zero, or 10K, but
Yeah.
I was kind of in that niche. And from there, I just started growing, growing, growing. And people came to me and said, hey, like, I want your help growing my page. And that's how the agency piece started. And I ended up, instead of, like, I used the pages to sell some info, do some affiliate. I sold a lot of advertising on there, which is shout outs, to grow people organically and that whole thing, grow their audience. But really, what I started to do was leverage them to grow clients. So I'd sign clients and I would use all these followers I have and I would shout them out. So let's say we have a real estate guy. Hey, such and such did XYZ. He owns, 100 mil worth of real estate, blah, 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 the whole thing. You should go follow him. And we'd have a real estate guy. We'd have a trading niche. We'd have all sorts of, Amazon FBA, e-com, all sorts of niches.
And
And
so
the
you're doing
page
this all
was
from the
everywhere.
same page, or you're doing multiple pages at this point?
That was multiple at that point, and then we used to buy a lot of shout outs, like a lot of shout outs from other pages. And I don't know, would you consider that paid? Would you consider that organic? What would you consider that?
That's how, yeah. I mean, we've never really played that game. That is funny you say this because, to one, this was my initial intro into internet marketing. I had like no idea about any of this, and I was 19, I was 18 or 19. I think I was 18. No, I was 19. But I bought a course that was $497. That was Instagram, whatever, internet money type. Literally, I'm pretty sure that was its name. And you were basically paying for shout outs, sending them to link in bio. You didn't even have your own page, so you weren't building your own asset there, but you were sending them to a page that was an opt-in, and then you had the thank you page as a redirect to a ClickBank offer. So like to try and self-liquidate, build an email list, and then just mail your list and then make money from affiliate offers, like content, affiliate offer, content. So like that was how I learned about it. So in that capacity, to my understanding, like I would put that as paid. But where you're doing it to grow pages, that's like a hybrid, right? Because now you have the organic following,
Yeah.
it's in your
It's like
asset,
maybe you're
not just
paying for it, but it's really to grow the following.
Yeah.
And I want to expand on that point actually, because I think there's something interesting. Because you have a lot of guys on here that do paid.
Yes.
I
Me
think they all do
included.
paid, right? Pretty much, like all you
Yeah.
guys.
Yeah. Like Ahmed was on here. He's the one that sticks out in my head as someone who like really leans into organic. His whole like Black Swan approach, where all of his clients are generally speaking doing YouTube long form. And there's a couple, but like, yeah, I mean, I hang out with a lot of the guys who do paid, and then all the guys in the Iman crew and whatever that I hang out with over there are almost all organic. So it's like that's kind of the dichotomy.
Got it. My thought process, and I've pulled from a lot of different people. I've seen how a lot of the really, really like advertising heavy paid guys run things. And I'm like, I don't know if that's me because I don't know. I look at it and I'm like, shit, like the overhead of those ads, something breaks. And I see you talk about it too on the channel sometimes
Yeah.
where it's like, fuck, we're kind of negative here. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't know if I want to be in that position. I really like the coziness of the organic. But I've seen the really heavy paid guys. I've seen the really heavy organic guys. I've seen a lot of the guys that do the hybrid. And the way I've kind of expanded on it from the pages is the pages were like an unfair advantage. I had those. I used those to grow clients, to grow myself, grow the audience, grow the brand. And then we would start to run retargeting ads that retargeted the
Mhm.
followers with basically a CTA, aka a direct response ad that says, "Hey, buy my shit." And my process now is more so mimicking the organic. So if we get a piece of content that just bangs in the algorithm, we'll put money behind it so it grows the audience more, and then we'll have another ad that takes that audience and nurtures them. So we'll have a lot of this middle of funnel content that just targets only the followers, and it nurtures them and it makes them say, "Holy shit, like I really like this guy, I see all his stuff, he can really help me." And then the people that watch, a certain percent of that will then get retargeted with the direct CTA, the
Yeah.
direct response ad.
Yeah,
I
Jeremy
think,
Haynes used to have something about that. It was called, I think he called it the Venus flytrap. His is like almost all paid, or at least, and Jeremy, don't hate me, but I think it is mainly all paid. But he used to do it where it was basically like you're moving someone through a funnel, like almost of awareness. So it would start with paid XYZ, and then it's like once they saw this ad, they would show them to this. So similar to what you're saying, except your initial step is organic, and then you move them through the funnel steps like almost forced through paid because you can target. Then obviously that's the other benefit
yeah,
of paid is like very specific targeting. But that's super interesting. So you're building these pages back up, and you have multiple clients, multiple niche pages. Did you ever think like I don't know what happens with these pages. I know two guys like that are actually pretty local to me, and I need to connect with those guys again because I like feel like I talk about them all the time. But like they were mobbing with this. They were creating a ton of organic pages. I think they were flipping them. They got into like handles at one point. Everyone in that world knows
hmm
each other, and they were doing these massive pages. I don't know what they ended up doing or like monetization wise, but like last I heard, they're crushing it. So like shout out them. But do you build up the pages to want to sell them? You strictly use them as advertising, and then you can swap out the offers and different clients. Like, what's the
yeah.
game plan?
I've thought about the selling part of it a lot. They are pages are such a headache to manage. Fuck. Did I?
You're good. You're good. Keep rolling.
Okay,
You're
great. It said reconnecting. Um,
good.
pages are such a headache to manage sometimes because I think every page I've ever had got banned at least once. And so you just have to have a rep at IG, Facebook that just can get you, and they're pretty common. So like that's not a huge deal, but you got to pay every time. It's annoying. I have one page that's been down for like 6 months at this point. 400K followers just down. Just stuff like that. They're always just getting banned. Um, my thought process is I would like to sell them. I think I've spoken to some people that do buy and sell businesses and like they exist in that world. It's not my world per se, but they think that the strongest path to do that is to make most of the income from ads and to have a specific product that is only existing on that page, which would be basically a separate info funnel that only
Yeah,
exists on those
correct.
pages. And I have 19, 20, I have 20 pages now actually. And that's kind of like the sale aspect of things. I don't think that's what I want to do necessarily right now.
Lost you again. How about now? How
Dude,
about now?
I'm right next to the router.
There we go. We're
I'm
back.
I'm I'm
I
literally
am on top
5
of the
feet from
router.
the router. I'm getting cooked by the Wi-Fi. Um, I apologize.
No, you're
So
good. You're good. Keep going.
to finish answering your question, um, the sale is something that I eventually probably want to do because I don't envision me running theme pages forever. You know, I started at 19. I'm 26 now. I don't really touch them on a day to day. The team touches them, but I
Yeah.
don't want to be 40 being like, I own a bunch of pages. You know, uh, it's media leverage.
Right.
But it's
Yeah,
interesting.
exactly. I mean, like if you have a team, if yeah, you have an asset. I mean, it's an asset class at some level, right? It's like I have this grouping of pages, but I mean, I guess I get the optics of it, but because so what? So you take them all, and then the bigger thing you were saying there that I picked up on in between was the you take like consulting for equity, you take consulting for rev share, or you take client like service work
Yeah,
for rev share or equity. Like, what do those deals look like? So, because now you have, based on what I understand so far, and like, sorry about a little bit of choppy, so I'm trying to.
you're good.
So we have all the pages. You
Yep.
also do some level of paid, and then you plug into other info coaching generally clients, some ecom maybe or no?
So no ecom. No, I
Okay.
don't touch ecom. Only info. Done a tiny bit of like software, but it's kind of like almost bizoppy info a little bit. That's just
Mhm.
kind of the world I live in, and I understand it,
Yeah.
and not to go out of it. I think you can probably relate to that. I don't know, but I
Yeah.
yeah,
I
I
always
know
say
my
I'm
domain
staying in info
and where I
coaching. Like
exist,
I'm
and
good.
I
I'm
just kind
good
of
where I'm
stick to
at.
it.
Like everyone tries to
The
go and do
pages
the
are a
private
traffic
equity
center. So
game or
we sell a
the
low ticket
holding.
on
Like
those.
I mean,
Jesus
I
Christ.
think that within
This
info
fucking
coaching you can go so much deeper. Oh, you're good. You're good. I think you can just go so much deeper in info coaching. I think like staying within that lane, like there's just so much cash flow. There's so much upside. Like it's not really like a private equity game where it's like, oh, I have 50 equity holdings in these different things, but like the rev share agreement makes a lot of sense. Profit share agreements make a lot of sense. Scale agreements make a lot of sense. So did I lose you again? You're good. Yes, live stream videos are a little different, no doubt, no doubt. No, we're good. Again, dude, these are raw every single day, raw, like complete raw edit cuts, me meeting people. This is not like, oh, let's polish it and who is whatever. Yeah. 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 Okay. What do you think about the different monetization models? Because that's what I was trying to say, and I think we cut out on it. Did we cut out again? Maybe this is like bad juju. Maybe I shouldn't be saying these things out loud because every time I say them, you cut out and we wait again. I hope you guys enjoy our media break. Sponsored by, I think that's Mountain Valley Water. Different monetization models. I just said this was sponsored by Mountain Valley, so hopefully they send me like 100 grand. So, um, yeah. So monetization model wise, you said, what do you think about this for info coaching? Because you just said equity, and like, I don't challenge people on here because I don't really have strong beliefs sometimes, but like equity and info coaching is so not like really a thing, right? Like it is cool, but like you have risk now. You have a 0.001% likelihood of selling. So like, what's the upside versus what likely is higher as rev share or more in alignment, which is profit share, I guess. But like, I hear all the different types of them. I like rev share. I think consulting for rev share in info coaching is like that's the hitter in my mind. Is not necessarily as fair depending on what kind of service delivery you have, what kind of whatever. So maybe more profit share is more in alignment. But like as the person doing it, like if I was to do it tomorrow, like rev share makes sense to me because I know that I can't control the profit in the same way I can as if I'm in the operator role. So it's like that's literally it. Okay. That's fair. Yeah. Oh, now we're gonna use this as our sponsor break by Zin. You don't think net makes sense? You're getting so frustrated. Oh god, it's good. We're good. You're good. Roll with it. Uh huh. Yeah, 100%. 100%. Yeah, I know a lot of those guys that do. Someone just asked in the comments, "What's the difference?" Because I literally accidentally went live on X with this. This is hilarious. So it's actually live right now. Difference between rev share and equity and info. Rev share top line, or he's saying in there gross. So taking all the cash collected minus what you spend in ads and potentially in sales team costs, whatever, basically to acquire it, and then it's paid off that amount. Rev would be off the total top. Equity or net, bigger issue is it's like full profit share. So what Nick's saying is like these guys will have a marketing expense of a Lamborghini and technically the net will be like $10,000 instead of 350,000, and then you won't get paid as a proper percentage. What? Yeah, no, that is absolutely ridiculous. So, what is your like client stack right now? You're doing 10 clients, you're doing 50 clients, you're doing two clients. Do you try and go big with size, or is that kind of capped with what you can do in terms of organic slash paid with these pushes of these pages? Like, could you take one of them to 5 million? It's like 12 questions, but yeah. I think high ticket starts. Yeah, high ticket starts at like 3 to 5, depending in my book. Yeah. Uh, oh wow. Yeah. Yeah. I love that model. I love that model. If you're good people and you have good shit, I love that model. The guys who like, yeah, the math makes sense, the model makes sense, the cherry pick, like the cream rises, you get paid to do the whole thing, so you still get paid for your time without having to only do the cherry pick, where it's only like I like the dance of having those two in one. Yeah. 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 I could talk to you the next 40 minutes about this. I only get to talk to a couple people about this. So my initial and like what the market initial is like terrible idea, doesn't work, won't work, a lot of wasted time, a lot of whatever, right? Is like the initial. And I'm in the camp of like building one of those right now and in that direction that like half the time I'm like, is this stupid? Because we sacrifice all the cash flow and all these. If you're doing it in like some version of what is like the right way in terms of like how you're building the team, how you're building the diversification, how you're having to test things and like burn cash, how you're having to machine it, how you're having to remove founder, comp plans, W2, like depending, like you start stacking all those together and your margin can go like this depending. And like then if you go out of certain scales and like you know, the contribution overhead finally, you know, overtakes the overhead at whatever size. Like I was talking in a lot of videos, ours is at like $1.5 million, let's say. And that's like technically with spending X amount on ads in order to make it so we can fill calendars. So it's like not overhead, but like is kind of like cost of doing business for us because we're so paid heavy. So blah, blah, blah. But like, I don't know. I know a guy that is doing this. That's not public about it, but he's doing this kind. They're calling them education companies, which I also have a beef with a little bit on what the difference is between info coaching and education, and there is overlap. But like info coaching is like the method in which you fulfill, more or less. Education is like what you're selling, kind of, right? And they're like a little different there. And the whole thing with education is education isn't recurring unless it's structured properly to be recurring, because no one pays for college for life for what they learned one time in it, right? And you hear Iman, Dan Henry had a good video about this where they talked about it. But like, I know a guy who's basically grouping these together, and I think I lost you on this, but I'm just going to yap because we'll upload this after. But I know a guy who is trying to group these together. He's trying to find 5, 10, 15 of these, exactly like what you said, group them into a holding co, cash flow the shit out of them, and then like literally he's trying to do like a take it public in like a foreign. Oh my goodness, we are so low, ladies and gentlemen. This is a rough one. I apologize. I'm just going to talk about it. But I know somebody who is essentially doing that, trying to take it public in XYZ market and then trying to move it over to like the New York, like just crazy talk, something that like I'm not even familiar with. But the economics on it just don't fully make sense to me. Because again, most of the time you have these, I just yap the whole time, so you're good. The general gist of it was
Cool.
I know somebody who's trying to do this, who's trying to pair a bunch of them together, cash flow the shit out of them, have them as solid education businesses, and then literally try and take it public on like an XYZ exchange. And then once it's, yeah, right, like crazy shit. And then once it's over there in like a foreign market, then build it up from public cash, then take it over here and like do all this stuff. But like, so that's someone who's trying to do it like over here. Then you have the guys that are like in the middle that are kind of trying to do that, where it's like holding co / private equity. I had Cole Gordon on, he talked about it, where it's like, he almost like doesn't want to do that game anymore because he's like, build upward, go deep in one thing. He did it with whatever 5 companies, 7 million a month, and the profit on it was basically the same as when he was running one standard. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know that it's a perfect fit necessarily for info coaching. It's a lot harder with info coaching, I think, to have them where they're actually exitable, and then the diversification like through a holding and through multiple of them, they all need a standalone at some level, unless there's like, because like when you have these things and like when people like roll up laundromats, like they have all the same like economics and like the business models may be the same, but like unless they all stand alone in that, I don't know. I haven't gone down that road, but like I just yapped a bunch and I'm sure you didn't hear a bunch
I
of it, but like
I
I'm
agree.
interested to hear your perspective on it though.
I agree it's difficult. So like my perspective is I have multiple assets and my own personal info coaching, you know, can stand alone on its own. And like let's say eventually want to remove myself from that and sell it, which we're in the process of. Because we're starting to acquire a lot of customers just on the business name Launch Socials rather than my own personal name. I have that. I have the pages. And then I have the agency thing, which I ran for years. It's really good cash flow. And then if it could potentially be plugged in on a holding co structure, I wouldn't hate it. But I'm not
Yeah.
married to like the fact of this is my one thing. I'm gonna have to go all in. I'm gonna have to do it this way. It doesn't necessarily have to pan out that way where it sells for me to be successful. So I think it's worth the risk of trying it because I was doing that stuff anyway.
Yeah. So I think we're talking about the same person on, or I know who you're talking about more so when you're saying the guy who's growing them and who sold his and did all that. But who else do you know that's done this? I heard so, and I'm going to Jeremy Haynes' event this weekend, and he was talking about how he knew someone or a client of his sold for like minority chunk of it for 20 mil and like all this stuff. The ones that stand out and who was on here that talked about selling, Will Brown, and then the other one that talked about selling
Yep.
or that has sold is Hormozy, and like who else, right? Like I don't know directly off the top. And like even, Iman talks about it, like digital launchpad that he has. He's like, oh, we built it as this thing that could like exit essentially, that was non-reliant on him, multiple faces inside the product, multiple faces and IP they can use for front, like all this stuff. And even he's like, yeah, that thing can't sell because it's still too reliant on me.
Yeah.
And it's like,
There's not many. And so for me, that's always like it's like I'm doing this and it could be something that I wrap up maybe, but it's not something that I'm married to. And I think that's the only way you can approach it because it is so few and far between that people sell these things.
you're good.
Oh, okay. I thought I cut out for a second. I haven't really heard of anybody that sold anything. I've seen offers.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of offers because I've been on a lot of offers and I've seen a lot of offers from people maybe to come in to buy something. And then a lot of times I'll also say I think a lot of times people will go to buy some of these companies and then yeah, people will go to buy some of these companies and then they'll do due diligence on it and they're like, "Oh my God, it's so fucked up." Like
Yeah.
it's like the back end because a lot of the people running these offers don't know what they're doing. I audited this company the other day. They're doing 500 a month and they don't have any tracking. They don't know where their leads come from. They were making most of their money from organic after I audited it, but they're spending like almost six figures a month in paid, just like all over the map. And the paid was basically going 100% to waste. Um, a lot of these offers are just like not in good shape. They're not real companies. They're just kind of thrown together pieces of things, and the operators on them are kind of non-existent. So I think that's one of the reasons a lot of these things can't sell. And then secondarily, they get audited. Like people might be interested. It's like, wow, look at that cash flow. And then
Where
they
do
get
you
audited,
sit?
and it's like,
I might have lost you on this, but
this
I'll
isn't
wait for you to
good.
come back. You're good. There you go. So
Bro,
on
I'm
the
3 feet
what do
from
you
the
think
ground.
like offer stack? Like what's your honey pie? I heard you say a trading offer in there. You said some biz op ones, but like do you generally do stuff that's more MRR focused? Do you do stuff that's more high ticket, mid ticket, like direct to cart, like for the clients?
Yeah, so really just high ticket. I mean, what you consider high ticket? I know you said 3 to 5, which is commonly high ticket in the space.
Basically anything you have to sell over the phone, I consider high ticket. I know there's like high ticket
Yeah.
e-com and physical product, but like info wise, if you have to sell it over the phone, I'm like, oh, it's high ticket.
I I sell mostly high ticket. I like MRR. The trading company that sold was MRR. And I think
Yeah.
that's one of the reasons that it did sell. It's because of that consistent recurring. Um, I think that everyone, this is my personal opinion on people starting, everyone should start with high ticket. Like the
Agreed.
velocity of cash flow on it. You have to sell, how many courses do you have to sell to make 10K if the course is $100 or $500?
Yeah.
A lot. How
Yeah.
many, info coaching do you have to sell to make 10K if it's 5K? It's two, or split pay, whatever. It's like three or four. You just make so much more money so much faster, and you can do it with 1,000 followers. And
Yeah.
then you build the offer stack out from there. So eventually, people are going to graduate. I like to have a graduation usually on the offers of like, you hit this, like you've completed it. And then they graduate, and then it's like, oh, logically, I can offer them this next thing. And then you build out the upsell. And then as your audience grows and you get a lot more people that just aren't a fit for it, you can build out the lower ticket, whether that's MRR, you can build out, a low ticket course, stuff like that. That's typically how I run it. So a lot of
Yeah.
people never even get to that stage where they need it.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I think high ticket to start. I also think that doing it through the beauty you have then with that, like just inherently, is then that people are getting on the phone. So you have the opportunity to like massage the conversation, learn from it, get feedback. So like you have versus sending them to a sales page is like, how's the copy on the page? how's the video on the page? Like you do all this production, you spend all this time trying to like launch an offer with a sales page, and like if it doesn't hit, you just burn the cash or you burn the clicks from organic or whatever. And it's like, not as much with organic, but like still it's versus you get someone on the phone, it's like you can maybe come up with different offerings, you can mess with pricing, you can understand maybe they have different like pain points and you want to change what the offer is over the first 5 or 10 calls. Like you have the opportunity to do that. And then exactly with the cash flow. But that thing around MRR you said is huge. Like we just 2.5 months ago launched like a mid-ticket ish, I guess you'd call it, continuity that's MRR on the back.
Nice.
So we still sell like 1-to-1 over the phone, high ticket. That's that. They can continue on with that if they want after year one for as many years as they want. But if they're going to leave because they don't want 1-to-1 personalization and all the stuff, it's like, oh, we have this other thing that's basically group coaching model. So you get access to everything. You just don't have the 1-to-1 with your coach. And it's like half the cost. So it's like,
And
okay, cool. We can build this MRR engine on the back.
is that after the year is
Yes.
up? Cool.
So it's like a downsell continuity. So we try and keep them in the main thing, but it's like if we're churning, call it 50%, it's like, can we recapture 10, 20, 30% of those into something that's half the price where they still get a lot, like, same result, different implementation or different like hand holding. And it's also like if you frame it correctly for us, it's almost like a graduation because it's like you learned how to do XYZ because there's kind of an education component that comes with the coaching. So it's like once they learn kind of the frameworks and the how we want to do things, then after that, they might not need the access to the coach as frequent, but they still want to stay on for access to the app and the community and the this and this and this. So I don't know. We're kind of bouncing back and forth on like, should we push more people into that? It has a higher margin percentage, but a lower dollars. So like it costs whatever to pay a coach for 1-to-1 a year, and it costs this much to pay a coach for, group coaching in like per unit, but the dollars are more on the 1-to-1, right? Because let's say it's 10 grand versus 5 grand. So like the margin is higher, but do we want to build up this? Because like technically we have recurring revenue through the 1-to-1 coaching. Like technically we do, but like knowing your numbers on it, what's the retention rate? What's the actual
on
like
an annual basis, you're saying?
on an annual basis? Yeah.
Mm.
So it's like, so like right now we're doing a revenue generating event internal, to coin Iman's phrase, revenue generating event. We do ours internal. So we'll do like renewal special. That's 500 or $1,000 off or whatever for the year. And it's like a 1 week thing. It's like hammer the list, coaches hit your client rosters, do this whole thing. Margin still 80% or whatever, because there's no advertising cost, there's no sales cost, there's no whatever. It's just like a renewal. It's just the fulfillment cost. And so we'll hammer that. So like yesterday we did like 290. Today we're at like 175, like just gripping and ripping doing those. But like it's a 1 week period. And then we're trying to like bake an evergreen in and then have like 2 revenue generating events that are internal only, that are like renewal only. So it's big engine on the front that's diversified so that it could sell one day, where it's multiple faces, multiple funnels, whatever, cost and alignment. They play together, they do their thing. You get the client, they sit in this 1-to-1 coaching thing that has obviously a lesser margin because it has the cost to acquire the customer. It has the sales rep, it has the fulfillment, it has all the things. X contribution overhead exists. And then after year one is like, do you want to stay? Or in these 2 revenue generating events, do you want to add a year or 2 years for a slight discount because the margin's still great? Or at the end of your term, in an evergreen setting, do you want to downsell continuity into this other program that's like, you don't need a 1-to-1 coach anymore, but you want to stay? It's like the current frame.
Really interesting. It's interesting. I think the most interesting point that you made is like technically we have recurring, but how many
what
people
is it?
actually continue?
Yeah, it's not.
It's a huge thing.
Yeah, churn
huge
goes
thing.
crazy on stuff like this.
What is your churn number on that? Do you know?
So high. Yes, I know, and I refuse to say no.
Ridiculous.
It's high. Like we had an issue with like how we were doing payment collection. We were letting them check out with their own external financing when they wanted to, and we hit it pretty hard last year. So we had a bunch of people that were selecting like payment terms that were different than what the term length was. So like example, someone click 18 or 24-month financing for a 12-month program. So like the churn on those are high. But now that we have retention team now that's basically sales reps that we didn't have prior. Like once we've implemented all these things, it's like 20, 30, 40, 50 like are staying now. And then now you include these renewal numbers and it's like 50, 60, like, so it's getting up there, but like it was shit for a long time. Like,
Nice.
if you just do net, it's like 50%, call it. We have like, X amount of thousands of clients right now. And then we have, call it 10,000 or whatever that have come through on that specific offering. We have, so blah, blah, blah. But like, it's getting way better. And then if you blend all these numbers, but I'm interested so to kind of get off that a little, but for sales, and I don't know if I just lost you. I think I did. Someone asked this question. I think it's a good question because I have a very strong belief on it. Should we throw in another in? Are you back? Are you back?
Yeah, I'm back.
There we go. Cool.
I have an interesting. Go for it.
Yeah, good.
No, go for it. You had some.
Oh, I was gonna say, so someone asked on here sales wise, and I have a very interesting like belief on this. But what is your? Because someone asked, do you have sales team in place for your high ticket offers, Nick? So if you have multiple of these,
Yes,
you have multiple sales managers, sales teams. Like, how do you do that?
of course. So the way we like to run it, like, of course, we always have sales teams in place. Usually, it's setters, closers. Um, we the way we launch. Okay, so because there's multiple layers, right? That's why I'm trying to figure out which one to attack first. So like the guys that we launch, the founder is selling it. I'm like, dude, you don't. Everyone tries to hire a salesperson, and I'm like, dude, you don't even know what the offer is yet. Like, you need to go in, you need to sell it. And kind of to your point earlier, take those 10, 15, 20 calls. I say get 10, 20 sales first and then fulfill those people just to get the feedback from them to know
Yeah.
what the offer should be. You then take all that information and data, you relaunch it fully, like what I would call a hard launch. It's like I consider those first 20 sales like a soft launch.
Yeah.
Get those
Agreed.
deals from DMs, get scrappy, get those people in, get the feedback, get the data. Then you hard launch it with like hard CTAs, retargeting ads, the full thing. You put the full system together. You still take the calls once it's working from there. Like, I don't know why you're.
Dude, I'm a fan. I'm a fan.
Yeah,
I know so many people who would not do that. So like that's why I'm kind of like laughing, but like I'm completely in alignment.
you got it. You guys, like, anyone starting an offer has to take the calls because you don't have any visibility if you don't. And then the sales guy isn't recording. You don't know what his experience is. He's on 5 different offers. He's all over the place. Your offer isn't enticing yet because it's not making enough money. You have to take the calls first. You get all that feedback, all that data. You know how it works. You hard launch it. You get enough volume there where you can put one closer into place and one setter into place, and you build from there. And then once you have a few closers, a few setters, you put a sales manager into place. So that's the system I run for every offer, whether it's starting all the way to big offer, doing 500 a month, mil a month, whatever. We're mostly like at the top end. We're in like 500-ish range on average. I have another point on that as well I want to touch on. But so it scales, right? It really depends on the stage someone's at, but we always aim to build a sales team. Like, we always want to remove the main person that's the face of everything from everything, except for like a fulfillment touch point usually, and all the front end, right?
Yeah.
We just want them to be the face. If we can get them to that position, of course we want to have a sales team. An interesting point. So I have 2 points actually, because I cut out on the recurring. Something we've been testing is a high ticket front end, like a 5, 6, whatever on the front end, and then like a 200 or a 400 a month for the entire year. So on the front end, on that purchase, we get the big payment, and then we build recurring into the first year. I'm not saying it works. I don't know. I'm testing it as we speak right now. But we've had a few sales on it. Like, people aren't.
Of course, I lost you on the good part.
No, right?
There we go. Got you back. Yeah. So the two people I know that do this, that crush with it, Onyx and Gall does this when we were at his. That's how he pitched his. So it's like an upfront join fee, and then it drops into monthly. And then same with one of the best masterminds that I'm in that we literally don't even use really anymore, but we're in Ezra Firestone's Blue Ribbon Mastermind. So ecom, whatever, and he's just live showing him building and scaling massive businesses. And his is like that. It was like, I don't even know what the number is. It was 5K or 10K or whatever up front, and then like 1,200 or 1,500 a month. I think it works a lot for the ones where it's like really community based and like stay in. I don't know how, and like the forever, like you're in it forever, right? It's the lifer mastermind model more so than the education based or like, 1 year term contract fulfillment, which frankly is like what ours is kind of, right? It's like we have all these, our client wins channel just fire off. And it's like they're doing such a good job of fulfilling on the contract for the year. It just wasn't really framed up until like 3 to 4 months ago in a way that's like, this is a forever thing. And we didn't have the other offers, and we didn't have the other like You know, so I mean, I agree. What are you selling that works for monthly? And is it for the rest of the term, or is it like indefinitely framed?
We're just testing an adjustment to the pitch where it is a big upfront fee, and then we just add in the monthly fee and seeing if it takes. And it's taking a little bit. It's somewhat working.
I lost you.
This fucking shit.
Sorry, guys, we were having mad technical difficulties
Dude,
with this, but I think there we go. You're good,
I just want to apologize to you.
dude. You don't. Why?
Well, cause come on, man, I gotta have my shit together here. Although
You're good.
I
The
am
internet.
3 feet from the router.
You're good. You're good. No, I am the most. No, I am the most chill in the world about this stuff. I don't. And this is all good. So what were you saying? So how you changed the pitch is what I last heard.
Dude, we just pitched a different price. Like we didn't change anything on the pitch except for testing a different price of like, yeah, it's this plus this monthly, and we're not getting many no's.
Yeah. How do you see the actual like LTV of it change though, or like what's the time to churn, or because that's the thing that I'm like, okay, cool. If we just threw it in, it was like the startup thing, and then this.
Well,
That's
because
an interesting thought, though. I mean, I'm kind of thinking
yeah,
about that. That's like,
because we have like so much organic, like it's mainly 90% organic that we acquire customers from. There's very, very little churn, like ever. Like
yeah.
our payment plan
What's the
collections,
price on the? What is like a monthly example, or what's a pitch example? So it's 2K up front, and then like 300 a
five,
month, or like
five, and then
5K.
two, or four and then five. We've been playing with it just a little bit. I don't know if I'll keep it, but it's it's just something to test.
I lost you again. You're back. You're good.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So
So for us, I know that's like a very interesting model because I'm like, so I'm trying. We're gonna try to achieve that, but not through. We're trying to do it through additional offerings. So like same way that somebody would do 5K up front with to get like the info education portal, and then once they're in there, there's a $200 a month software they use for trading or for to find suppliers for drop shipping or whatever, right? So it's like you pair two offers together, not
yeah.
price one offer in two ways. So like we're gonna try and play that game with like what else do they buy, right? So it's like supplements, is it this, is it that? So there's like two monetization methods, but two different pricing models or price or whatever monetization types. So that's like but that's a very interesting frame because I know that crushes for masterminds. I know it crushes for masterminds. I just wonder how if we could even make that work for the front layer of info coaching.
I'm not sure. That's why we're testing it.
We're gonna find out. So okay, now around the sales team. So my strong belief, and I'm curious on yours. So you're building sales teams in house.
Yes. Come on, man.
It's the life we live. So with you're building them in house, but like my belief on this and how it's shifted over now this range is like I believe in sales agencies, which I never had one. I never used one. I tried to use one for 1099 like management, but we never used one that was full encompassing. Now there's these guys who like crush it that do like 20% rips and they handle the whole thing, which obviously is a little more expensive than if you run in house because let's say you run at 10%, you have setters, you have 3 to 5%, so you're at 15. You maybe have a manager, you're at 17. Like you can save for sure by going direct, but I am under the impression that the head count equals the headache, and it becomes a massive issue over time. When you're trying to scale, it becomes the biggest headache versus why not just worry about marketing more inflow? Why not just worry about ascension and retention and product and just like get rid of the sales team? Because all these info coaching cash flow businesses run so lean. It's all about cash flow. It's all about this. Like to then manage 2, 5, 10 closers and potentially then 2, 5, 10 setters is like a whole new, you introduce like managing a people, which doesn't really exist
Yep.
in info coaching at like the small or medium scale.
Yep. So I've worked with tons of agencies, lots of them. I think some sales agencies are really good. I think some are not so good. It's hit or miss. Like, you know
Yeah.
how it is.
Yeah.
It's the agency
I
game.
only have two guys I recommend for context.
Yeah, it's the agency game in general. Um, and I have a few guys I recommend, of course. I I probably have a control issue. I like to have the control like in house of, I'm. It's also I know every part of the process because this is just
Yeah.
my game. So I, in a sense, am a sales agency if that makes sense
Yeah.
when I manage other offers.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So it's like I'm just gonna do it for
Yeah.
for these offers. Um, that's my take on it. But
Yeah.
agencies in general, like there's some agencies out there that can do it better than you can, or I can, or anybody watching can, but they're super few and far between. And how much cash and time do you burn trying to find that agency? And a
Agreed.
lot of times it's a lot. I mean,
Yeah.
I've been there. So
Yeah, we did that with marketing and just burned it. Like just dumbass burned it. Like we just didn't want to worry about marketing, which is the stupidest thing. But for a minute, it was like just like such a headache. We're like, oh, we'll just use this agency. We're getting good results. We're like, cool. Agency kind of started to flip, like falter a little. So we moved to another agency that had all these big promises and experience. And we're like, oh, we're good. And just boom. Next thing you know, we're spending 130 grand a month or whatever doing agency. CPA is rising at the same time, like both those in tandem. And it was like not good.
and
But yeah, I don't know. I think the sales thing's big. So you just said something interesting, and like you don't have to dox your numbers by any means, but how do you view your monetization model? Like, how does the math work? Because like a sales agency, like I said, a lot of the time will take 20, some take 25. I've heard some take less than 20, but most are around 20. They staff everyone. You're doing essentially the management portion, but like you said, it's kind of built into the model already, where acquisition, sales cost will be in there. What You can give ranges, but like, what is like someone who runs your model? Ahmed was on here and talked his number, like rough, because he does a similar thing. He basically like growth operates the wrong word, but he kind of does like A to Z management of these entire offers. And he'll be like, and he gets a rev share rip, is how he does it, because there's no ad cost really, because it's almost all
yep.
organic. So it's basically the same probably as yours. But I've heard people can get 20. I've heard people get 40. I've heard like when they're really, really hands on. I heard guys that just kind of like do it and do 10. Like,
I'm usually that
ranges.
15 to 25% range, but I
Yeah.
also do it on purpose. Like I think I could probably push it up to 30 to 40, but do I want to have that level of responsibility on multiple
Mhm.
different businesses? And I don't. Because then there's a bad profit month, something bad happens, something breaks, they're coming to you as a source of funds. Hey, you got to cover that negative. I don't want to deal with that. So
Yeah.
I like a balance of I'm getting compensated on a level that I deem fair.
You cut again.
I'm
You're back. You're good. You're good. Yeah. No. I mean, dude. So I have talked to many people on this because like this was kind of like a version and like still is cooking of like maybe where my land can live because I'm not going to sell anything like direct. Performance in my mind is completely different, like
Yep.
performance based anything. So like no like so how do you draw the line on what you're willing to service and not? Because like what you just said there is like, oh, if I took 40%, I feel like I would have more responsibility or I would have, capital calls or I'd have whatever. Like, how do you clearly define the line as, okay, cool, we're going to take 25%, but like the buck stops here on where you're willing to do service delivery or help or whatever? Coffee break. I have like four stems going at the same time right now, guys. So you're back. You're good. So
Um,
how do you view where you draw the line in the sand in terms of that?
to me, the best way to do it is have an abundance of the lead flow where I don't have to just work with someone because the money's right. I can work with them because I like them and I know they're a solid person and I know they're gonna pay on time and I know they're gonna be cool to work with and they're not gonna bring in extra headaches. And for me, I think the line you were asking about maybe outside of that is like the dollar amount and or the percent. For me, it's this is probably worth it. I would pay it if I own the
Yeah.
business, but also I'm not taking on too much risk or
Yeah.
too much responsibility. And it's kind of
Yeah.
that mix. And I find 15 to 25 is good for that. And I can come in and do a lot of hands-on stuff, and then I can slowly move towards consulting, which
Yeah.
is less hands-on and a lot less of like my time involved.
Yeah, that's kind of how I'm viewing it too. I mean, like you hear the guys who are investors and like of true like actual capital, not just time, and they will draw the line in the sand. Like, no, I'm strictly a financial partner. I'm strictly a this. So I just think it's so much. It's just so difficult to draw the line in the sand on where you want to do it with consulting, where you want to do it with time, where you want to do it with how much you want to dedicate to the offer. But if you see the upside, it's like all of a sudden you want to like 10x lean in and you're like, oh, this one could go to 2 or 3 million a month if I just put some more time in it. And then it's like, okay, you want to have the control, like you said, to be able to like cherry pick that and be like, I want to lean in on this one. You can keep your percent, but like you choose to lean in versus like what is the minimum. I think that's like the biggest piece for me on like how I look at it. So yeah.
So are you going to kind of turn your operation into like multiple of these and not
No,
just
so core biz is core biz. That thing is going to go like the idea is that it almost grows beyond me. So like it's owner operate right now for sure. But like even day by day, like there's such a strong team. Like the biggest thing, the issue we have right now is like such strong players, almost like too many chefs in the kitchen, or like not
Mhm.
getting the efficiency out of team we have. So that's why, you know, you look at these like profit numbers or this overhead thing. And again, this might be like a pipe dream for me even saying it. And like I could just be wrong on this. And in 6 months, I'm like, damn, we burned millions of dollars on payroll and whatever. But like my belief is, and you cut out, I think so, sorry. But my belief of it is more around the idea that if I can get the team efficiencies and the proper people in place kind of before that, so like the C suite and then the proper players on the team, and then get the operation slash operator piece handled to where they get the efficiencies out of that team. And I think I just cut out there for you, but the basically C suite, just having a team of sickos, which is basically what we have right now. And right now, the two biggest levers are getting efficiencies out of them and their teams. So like layering in operations and management for them and like helping them with that. So I just got a project manager last week that starts next week. I think it's gonna be huge. And then the big lever is like deploying that within marketing because CPA is the biggest lever in terms of profit for us right now, like by far, by far. So
so
I
I
don't know if
missed
that
some of
answered the
that.
question, but
I don't know if you
essentially
can hear
we're
me right
trying,
now.
we're going to build main code
Um,
to the point that it's I
but
sit
it
as an
make
owner, not as an owner operator. And then my goal is to continue to stay within info coaching, connect with all these people, do all this stuff. And like, there's so many, like, I get DMs that are like, oh, I'll pay 50 grand for consulting. I'll pay, you know, I'll give you X percentage of my company. I just deny everything right now. And it's like, I want to partner with the right people and do the right stuff if that becomes, but like, I also don't want it to be a distraction. So right now my focus is main co. And then I'm kind of cooking up side co thing that would be a partnership version of this. But I'm not going to public announce anything until I'm like dead set sure on it.
Hell yeah, man. That is awesome, bro. And
Yeah.
I
So
respect
this
that a
actually
lot
that
for
actually
saying
leads
no to
into this
the
next one on
I
here.
don't know
So
if you
someone
can hear
asked in
me,
here, and I'm
but
curious on yours.
for saying no
What's the
to
key to
the dollars that are
longevity in
easily
info
accessible
game,
right
and does
now
it
in your
essentially come
DMs.
down to looking at data? And oh, did I lose you?
Yeah. Yeah, I was just
Sorry.
saying
So
I was
yeah,
just saying I respect a lot the fact that, you're sticking to the main thing and saying no to the money in the DMs even though it's like super easy.
yeah, I just like don't want to. One, I just don't want to be that person. Two, the second I take 50 grand from someone, if they don't make like 500 grand, like I will not sleep at night, and like I'm just that person, and I don't like that. Everything I've always done is performance based. It's almost like a lack of confidence at some level or something, right? Where it's like these guys who can charge 50 grand are like, oh, my hour was worth it. And if they don't implement it, that's on them. Like I'm just not there as like a person to where I feel comfortable doing that or like selling that. It's just not who I currently am or am okay with. So I like the idea of performance based. I've always done performance based. I've always done that. And it's like, if I help you and it gets XYZ, like I'm cool with you making 10 million and I make a million on it in like whatever type of arrangement, or 5 million on it, you make 10 or whatever. So yeah, that's been mine on it. But someone asked on here, and I'm actually curious on this. So what's the key to longevity in info game? And does it essentially come down to looking at data and continuous optimization? Which I think those are kind of like two different questions because I don't
Mhm.
think it's the second one. But what do you think the key to longevity in the info game is?
Well, especially if it's a personal brand, it's being yourself. And this is what we help people. This is what I help people with every day. There are so many people that are just like, I'm gonna do this thing for the camera. And I think eventually, on like a spiritual level, it eats at your soul to do some shit that you don't really believe in
Yeah.
or isn't you, and that's gonna burn you out. And then secondarily, eventually you're gonna fuck somebody over if you're not acting out of the correct interests, and that's it. Like once you only have the one reputation, and people have gotten the reputations back, but it's not common. It cooks
Yeah,
people.
yeah,
So it's really just being authentically actually yourself, and not pretending to be somebody that you're not. And I think
yeah,
that happens a lot with the influencer, personal brand, type of individual. Um, I also think the second thing, which is just a standard business thing, is cash flow is number one, and don't outspend your cash flow to where you have to go into debt to keep things running and stuff like that. Just basic business 101. Um, I think those are the two main things that I see, at least. I'm curious what you see.
yeah. With info, I have a hard stop in three, but in
Yeah.
info, it's I always say there's a difference between someone who's like they always say like, oh, what offer are you on or what offer are you running? And there's a big difference between offer and business.
Yes.
And like, those are just two words, but like depending on how you look at them, it is a very, very large difference. And there are the guys that are the personal brand dudes, and it used to be forever in direct response. It's like, what's my new offer? And constantly spinning up a new mechanism and a new mechanism and
Yes.
selling essentially the same thing with different like there's truth to that in messaging and marketing, but there's not really truth to that in like your business model. And like you're not building a business when you're just going offer to offer to offer, unless you're building a machine that is offer to offer, like you're doing, an Agora or something. But like, I don't know. I'm under the belief that info will continue to change. The AI piece will continue to change, especially. I think I already right now see a ton of stuff happening with like coaching being more so than info,
Yeah.
or info being used as a way to then sell coaching for the higher ticket stuff. But yeah, I mean, I think longevity just exists, like you said, being a good person, being, iterating on your product is different than jumping from offer to offer to offer.
That's number one as well. Like I don't know how I didn't think of that, but like I also kind of maybe tie that in with authenticity. If you're the guy that sells drop shipping one day and then you flip to now your theme pages and now your agency and now you're
Now your
this and
crypto, now your AI. Yeah.
you know, your reputation is going to get cooked doing that. And second, you're never going to get the long-term client results that you could get to get the compounding effect to go really big. It just doesn't
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah. 100%.
I know you got to go.
Yeah, no.
Uh,
This was solid. I know we had obviously some issues. So when you're out of the Smoky Mountains, we'll rip round two because now you clearly have a lot of perspective, and you do it
I
from a different angle than I do, which I like.
Yeah, man, it was great, and I appreciate you having me on. And what you're doing is awesome, and the YouTube is awesome. And we definitely, I mean, if you'll have me again, I'll
I
get
will, in
good Wi-Fi.
fact.
I promise. I promise the good Wi-Fi will be there. We'll run a proper call.
Yeah, 100%. And I won't have a hard stop in an hour. I never have that. I usually do this at the tail end of the day, but someone booked in, and I figured I would be helpful. Or I don't actually. It's not even true. No one can book in. I don't have any calendar links. So cool, man. You're a G. We'll talk soon.
Appreciate you. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.